national TV game. Another game against the NBA's elite. And they got their ass whooped. Hey, that's just what it is. Bottom line is this team is not yet a legitimate contender. Despite their record is respectable. They are a good team. They're not a great team. And they just got a slew of issues, man. They got a ton of issues, You want to blame the coach? Sure, you can do that. But there's a ton of roster issues. There is a structural issue. There's a bench issue. You got injury issues left, right, and center. And this is what you have, man. But I thought the start of this game, the key trend with the start of this game, same way as Cleveland, same way as all these games when they play against the NBA's elite. Your effort, your intensity, just not there. These guys are playing at a level that you can't match from the opening tip, and it's embarrassing, bro. It is embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Yo, listen, the dog is coming back from injury, bro. If you're not right, come off the bench. All right? He's in his bag. He's moving like molasses, throwing up brick after brick. Come off the bench, man, if you're not ready to play up to playoff intensity. This game also changed when they put Mikal Bridges on the bench. Let's just keep that a bean. The energy, the intensity, the lack of hustle is an embarrassment. It took the bench unit to come back into this game and show these guys how to play. Yes, if you want to get on the coach, we get on the coach in this regard. A guy like a Greg Popovich, and shout out to Pop, speedy recovery to him. They said he's not coming back for the rest of the year as he recovers from the stroke. The one notable thing that Pop would do, man, if you're not busting your ass in the beginning, wholesale changes early. You're on the bench. Duncan, Parker, Ginobili on the bench. Send a message to your team. This guy goes in here. They let these guys run a lollygag up and down. No transition defense. Hoisting up bricks. No driving kicks. And again, the game doesn't change until the second unit comes in there and changes the tone. They play with speed. They play with energy. They play like they give a damn. Right? Not to say that that's guaranteed you win you the game, but, that's part of the battle. You got to show up first.
And they're not. They're not showing up at all in the first half. I mean, you could argue that Brunson and Hart are the only guys showing up because, those guys play with passion. Those guys play with heart. They, no pun intended. Those guys want to get out there and win these games. But, I mean, there's so many issues, man. Way too many issues. I mean, who do you want to start with? Bridges, Cat, OG? Do you want to start with Tom Thibodeau? Do you want we can even get down to Campaign because Campaign shot selection today was a little questionable too when you're in the midst of a battle and you're just throwing up shots instead of organizing the offense. But he's on the bottom when it comes to the pecking order who needs to get criticism. I'm gonna start off with Mikal Bridges, man, and we talked about this. We had a big debate about it on the last post game. Was it worth trading for him? I have people, on social media saying that this is a disaster of a trade. It's one of the worst trades possible. I don't agree with that. I still think you could flip him if you really wanted to get something in return. Probably not the same assets you shipped out, but the guy is not providing us anything that we need from our third best player on the team. Offensively, he shies away from taking contact. He barely gets to the free throw line. He's not a guy who's going to initiate offense. This is a guy, when you ask him to play defense against some of the top tier opponents, he is just afraid. He's not fighting over screens. He's not recovering well. He is just doing everything you don't need in these matchups. And when you're seeing guys like Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, the guys who OG and Bridges are supposed to match, those guys don't care what that is, man. Those guys are out there ready to fight. Those guys are ready to be physical. Bridges tonight doesn't want to play a physical game. And look, that may not be his game, but if that's not going to be your game, then you got to figure out something else to be effective. I haven't seen off-ball cutting from him really that well. He had a nice couple of buckets in transition today, but the dude is just a zero when you need him the most, man, in these big moments. And you can't trade for a guy where you give up. And look, there's multiple players that were given up. But when you don't have Randall, right? I'm not asking for Randall to be back here, but Randall at least brought the ball up and could initiate the offense. If you're not going to do that, do the stuff they were doing out in Brooklyn on games that are very important, I don't know why you're even out there. And you brought up how McBride came in the second half after you bench him after with 8 minutes to go in the third. You see a guy who at least is trying, getting into the teeth of the defense, willing to take contact, looking to make plays, being aggressive. Can we just get that out of Mikal Bridges, man? That's the first thing, because if Cat's also not going to be aggressive, then you need somebody else to be. And we can't have just four guys next to Jalen Brunson who are not looking to fight and get into a dogfight.
Yeah, and you know, and so you mentioned that dogfight. So you already have two weak links in your defense in Brunson and Towns, which on many championship teams you really can't have that. But they're trying to go up against the odds when building this roster. I told you guys, it's not an easy path to them to build for them to build this. They're taking a lot of chances and hoping that it's going to work out. So you need your wings to be impactful. And as you said, Mikal's not being impactful. He might have the lowest shooting foul draw rate in the entire league, because literally the guy runs away from contact. I never seen a guy run away from contact as much as he has. We could get on Julius and RJ when they were here for how much they were bricking at the rim, but goddamn, they were going in the half court.
Yes,
they going for the gusto, man. Put your heart on the line. Like, it's just way too soft. And moving down on the soft meter, okay, you want to look at the box score. Towns, okay, 24-18, 9-20, 3 or 4 from downtown. When the game mattered, bro, in the first half, this is what I'm talking about with Karl-Anthony Towns. Yes, we can talk about how teams are scheming them out of the offense. But when you in one-on-one single coverage with Drew, I love Drew Holiday, great defender. Yo, a lot of the one-on-one coverages, man, you're coming up soft, bro. Period. This is my issue with him in the big games. Remember the reel I made when I said I'm leery about trading for him. I said this like 3-4 times in 3 different videos. I'm leery about trading for the guy because he's a low-impact player. He's having a great year. Transform this offense. 2 things can be true, but in a big spot, he comes up short. He comes up short. And now it's like, shoot, you can't even ask him to play too hard because every time he does, his knee goes out. So that compounds the issue, the injury issue with him. But in the big moments, they need you out there, man. You coming up soft, losing the ball. Guys are stripping the ball out of his hand.
Getting blocked at the rim by KP.
You getting blocked at the rim.
Yo, the one that bothered me the most. You see Peyton Pritchard cutting baseline. He is cutting baseline from the left side. Throws an alley to Luke Cornett, who's right there and gets postered.
Oh, Cornett was abusing him again. 2 games in a row, he's getting bossed up by Luke Cornett, man. It's aggravating. So, like, for me, it's like, if this is the case, if you know he can't bang against these more elite teams, then run some offense and let it fly from 3. You know what I'm saying? I'll take 3 3-pointers. Then 10 3-point attempts, then 4, and you lollygagging in the paint trying to get some cracking. You can't get it cracking, bro. Might as well play to his strengths. He's a finesse player. Go ahead and just let it fly from 3, man.
And he doesn't even do that, bro. Because in the first, like, how is it that this is the second best player on the team when it comes to scoring, right? How is it that you don't score until there's 5 minutes left to go in the second quarter? 5 minutes to go in the second quarter. We can't be having this at all. I this is just, look, man. And he's been very good for the regular season. You talked about it. You said it. Like, he's not showing up big, but it's like these performances mean very little to me that you're now starting to get it going in the third, where Boston's just playing with you at this point. It is just food. Yeah. Okay. And defensively, like, you keeping your hand down, you're not even contesting. I'm watching you. You're ball watching while you can go be getting a rebound, and there's the paint's wide open. You're not doing anything that's helpful at this moment, and that's in the first half to keep us in this ball game. And so, if you're not going to do that, then this team is not going to go far. You can't go far when Bridges isn't going to be aggressive, isn't going to be willing to take contact, isn't going to defend well, and you're not going to go far where I can accept poor defense if you're giving the efficiency every single night as you're doing, like, against every other team against the Celtics. And if you're not going to do that, and if you're going to be afraid to do that, and you're going to have KP looking like he's Mutombo out here, Luke Cornett looking like he's Shaquille O'Neal out here, then this team is not going to go far, man. He's got to man up. He's got to get tougher mentally. And it's fighting for the second chance opportunities. I'm seeing Al Horford go out there getting second chance opportunities. Al Horford's doing a good job. And the thing is, too, man, is that defensively, they're just, like, hunting him left and right. Like you see that with the pick and pop, Jason Tatum, KP pick and pop. He's guarding Tatum and he's not even staying. Like I hate the drop coverage, and this is where we can get to Tom Thibodeau too because you got to shift it up. I see that he tried a little bit in the second half, but from the jump, you know it doesn't work against this team. How many more times do you have to try the same thing over and over and over and over to know that Karl Anthony Towns is not a guy you should put in drop coverage? And they were abusing him. KP had wide open looks. They put him on the screen. You see Tatum get two separate screens, and he snake dribbled right around them for an easy layup.
You had 1-3. You had 1-3 in the second half, I think. Jaylen Brown shoots it. You had 3 Knicks right there by the basket. Nobody can box out, and you let Drew Holiday get the rebound over 3 Knicks, including Karl Anthony Towns, Josh Hart, and somebody else was right there. Kicks it back to Jaylen Brown for a corner 3. Like, that's the type of thing you can't have, man. You cannot have that. And shout out to Cheddar Deuce on the IG side. To CP, you didn't watch Karl Anthony Towns run before he got hurt. All said we would have been down by 30 without Cat. Look, he can get it going in bunches, but when the game mattered in the beginning, you got to dominate, man. Shaq said it. You don't dominate. And all this, and I try to come to the Knicks' defense when it comes to Draymond Green babbling when he does. Yo, he had a point. Remember when he dropped that thing about Towns? You remember that? I said to you on the Slack, I was like, you know what? I can't stand Draymond, but he's right, bro. He's right. He's right, man. We just can't have that. The team does not have an edge. It left with iHeart. It left with no Mitch. It left with Dante. Hell, it even left with Julius, even though he wasn't going to get him to a championship. That's just reality. They don't have the edge. Hart has it. The captain, Jalen Brunson, has it. I think Deuce has it.
Oh, Deuce definitely has it. He's out there. Dude, I'm watching him like nosedive, essentially, driving. That kick that he had out to Landry Shamet, he sees 4 defenders at the rim. He's not afraid. Deuce is not afraid. Yeah. He doesn't care who he's guarding, man. Yeah. It does not matter. Dude won't guard anybody 94 feet. There's very few players on this team that still keep that same fabric of toughness, of grit, of I don't care who's in front of me from last year. And it's just not in Bridges. It's not in Cat. And honestly, it's not even an OG at times. Yeah, like, I'm watching OG out there. I'm like, dude, come on, man. Like,
looking good, man.
He's timid. Like, he too, like, is just, he tries to do too much. He tries to do too much offensively. And, like, it's rough, man.
Underdog Fantasy is the place to play if you're a fan looking to cash in on some of your favorite athletes' performances. Available in over 30 states, including New York, California, and Texas. Just call your shot on higher or lower on 2 or more player stats for your chance to win real money. Use our promo code KFTV for up to $1,000 in bonus cash plus a free pick. So download the Underdog Fantasy app today and turn every bucket into a W.
Hey, I'm Jay. I'm from Jersey.
Hey, how you feeling? Jay from Jersey. What's up?
Hey, what's up, guys? Well, I'm not feeling great. I mean, I kind of felt like we were going to get smoked tonight. I just think, bigger picture. I mean, I think that, one, I don't think Tibbs is the right coach to take this team to the championship level. I think that he's a very good coach to turn things around when you're rebuilding. But once you're a good team, it's those finer margins that separate you. And so far, we're not seeing many adjustments. And I'm talking about personnel adjustments. I'm talking about scheme adjustments. Because even forgetting without Mitch, right? You had OG Anunoby. You paid him $200+ million. You traded 6 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges. Those are supposed to be your 2 best defenders. And neither has proven to be able to guard some of the top players. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, these guys, Donovan Mitchell, they're getting whatever they want. So at some point, yes, the players are to blame, but you've got to make scheme adjustments. And when it comes to Towns, he's going to have to slide his feet, because even when you get Mitch back, if you're playing Boston, who's Towns going to be guarding? He's going to be guarding Porzingis. They're still going to be running screen and roll, even with Mitch. So it's not like things are going to change drastically against Boston. That's the first thing. The second thing is, as far as Mikal Bridges goes, it's time to hold him accountable. If he's not performing, Deuce McBride's got to be starting. Like, this is the time to start experimenting, because you've got nothing to lose. You're already pretty much locked into being a 3 seed. I don't think they're going to drop anyways. See what happens when Deuce goes into the starting lineup. Does the defense get better? Does the net rating get better? Like, these are times to start experimenting because right now the roster construction, I mean, there's already too many flaws. So that's just where I am with it. And Leon Rose, by the way, last thing, he's going to be under the clock too, because this is the problem that you run into when you're trying to build a championship contender and you don't have a homegrown star. Every person you're trying to acquire is through a trade.
That's right.
And so you've got to be incredibly patient when you're trying to acquire talent. And he could have waited one more year. It would have sucked. This year would have sucked. We would have been a 4 or 5 seed. We wouldn't have been a contender,
One more year
but we
to
would
do
have
what?
had the assets. Because this upcoming summer, there's going to be better players available than Mikal Bridges.
Like who?
And the question now is going to be,
Who
how
do you,
can the
who do
Knicks
you think
pivot?
is going to be available? You never know.
Well,
Who's
I
gonna
think
be
Giannis is
available.
going to be available. I think the Bucks are a first-round exit, and even if they get to the second round, they're going to get smoked in the second round. So
let me ask you this: with Giannis with having like 2.5 years left on his deal, who do you think has a better? Just asking, right? The Knicks with their 5 picks in the 20s. Is Milwaukee taking that deal over another team that can offer young players and picks?
It depends. It depends, because if you bring up some small market team, who's to say that Giannis is going to say, yeah, I want to go there? A lot of times stars also direct where they want to go. And contrary to the prior years where we had no talent, we actually have talent now. So if I'm Giannis and I'm deciding between 2 different teams, I'm looking at the Knicks more favorably than, another team.
Bro, I hear that, but like we've been leaning on that we're New York flex for years, and we always lose, man.
Okay, well, that's because we had no talent. We had no talent. That's why no one wanted to come. We had no Jalen Brunson. We had no OG Anunoby already on the team. That's why no one wanted to come.
If you're getting Giannis, you might have to trade OG. You got to make the salaries
Yeah, sure.
work, man.
I would do it. I would trade, because then you have 2 superstar players, and then it's easier to build a roster around them. Okay, well, if that's your point, then what? Like, are you saying that the 6 first-round picks, they should have been used for Mikal Bridges? Because there's no guarantee you get Giannis, but I'm saying there could be another player available. What if Devin Booker becomes available? Right, the Suns aren't going anywhere. Kevin Durant is pretty much gone.
I get that. My point is that the Knicks, when they got Mikal, I'm not saying that the Mikal Bridges trade, obviously the 5 picks was an overpay. You had to pay the tax. Was I expecting Mikal Bridges to be this bad and unimpactful in his? No, obviously not. But on paper, if you're looking at it and you're saying, man, we got a chance to get another wing who can generate some offense, yeah, of course I'm going to take it. And he's a young player under 30, a durable player with a good contract. I think it's a good deal. But at the end of the day, if you're going to just say, well, we're New York, so we're going to outbid everybody with just 5 picks in the 20s, I think that's highly short-sighted. And that's typical, like, Knicks fan delusion that we're just everybody's just going to come here because we're the Knicks.
I agree that the picks themselves aren't going to get it done. You're probably going to have to add a player as well. I'm not saying the picks alone are going to be enough, but at least you would have a competitive offer.
But my man, that's the issue. When you go in to get Mikal Bridges, you didn't have to put a player in there. With these other guys, most likely you're still going to have to put a player in there.
Okay, so let's say let's say they didn't do the Bridges deal, right? And they kept Dante. Let's say they threw in another pick or 2 to get Towns.
I'm sorry, sir. They could not have kept Dante. This is why you guys got to do your homework. The Timberwolves wanted Dante. He was a sticking point in the Cat trade. The Knicks were desperate to get Cat.
Yes, but what if you include 2 or 3 picks in that deal?
They wanted DiVincenzo, bro.
Okay, well, we don't know the details on that. But regardless, okay, fine. Then, I'm going to ask you a question then.
Okay.
If the Knicks lose in the second round and they don't change the coach, how are you upgrading this roster?
Well,
Who are you trading to upgrade this roster?
You might trade OG. You might trade Bridges. You might trade Cat. Who knows?
Who will you get in return for that deal? Which star player are you getting?
I can't guarantee who you're going to get because you just don't know who's going to be available.
Okay, so then that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that now I don't think they have flexibility either. Either way,
slim.
Your argument is you don't know who's going to be available down the line. And my argument is they made the deal, and who are you going to flip to upgrade this roster?
But your argument is that the star player is going to direct himself to the Knicks because we have good players, and I think that's highly short-sighted. We've been doing that since the LeBron decision, since 2010. It's never worked.
When LeBron was deciding, the Knicks had no talent. They had Amari Stoudemire. That was about it. That's what I'm saying. It's a different team. I mean, we can agree to disagree, but look, we'll see how it plays out. I'm just giving my viewpoint on this. I don't know, but
I respect it. I respect you.
We'll see how it turns out.
Al, go ahead, man.
I don't think you could have got like it. The whole premise is that we could have waited for another year. You just never know what's happening the next year and who's going to ask out. Did we all know that Luka was going to be available? I didn't think Luka would be available, and then I didn't even think he'd be traded for what he was traded for. And I think the difficulty in trades, especially when it comes to stars, is that at the end of the day, the front office has the right to make whatever decision they want. Like we saw Kawhi Leonard go all the way out to Toronto for a season before he wanted to go back to LA and go play with the Clippers. And so Giannis could say, "Hey, I want to go to New York," but if OKC is like, "Oh, wait, you know, New York's going to offer us who? OG, Randall at the time before like I'd rather have Chet. Go get me Chet and go give me that Warhol of picks that you got over there." And so it's just tough to say that a player can direct themselves. Damian Lillard wanted to go to Miami. He's in Milwaukee.
Thank you, bro.
It's just hard to say that we can always go get somebody though.